Ukrainian friend who's a hacker, and I think his family was one of those ones that was transplanted to Chernobyl by Putin the last time he invaded in not 2014, sorry, the 80s or the 90s, I think. And he was born in Chernobyl in 1986, the year of the accident, and he has health problems from that. And he loved Putin. Oh my gosh, in 2002 or 2000 something, he was telling me what a great man Putin was and how he was having all these Russian hacker farms who were going to redefine truth as we knew it, and it's going to make Russia great again. So yeah, Donald Trump is 100% a Vladimir Putin production. You know, Vladimir Putin created all the myths, all the propaganda. They were doing the bot farms long before AI. So yeah, I've been following this stuff for like 22, 23 years, and I know quite a bit about it. And it's so funny, but my narcissistic family couldn't get it through their head that I was telling the truth, and they would laugh at me when I told them around 2012 or 2013 that they were going to ban abortion because Putin doesn't like abortion. They were going to start persecuting trans people and gay people because that's what he does in Russia and has for decades. So now who's laughing? Nobody. None of us are laughing because it's no joke, you know. And one of their big techniques is they like to, Kotex ears here. They like to take stories from one side and then erroneously apply them to the other. So they don't want people to talk about Donald Trump pretending he was hit with a bullet and then slapping a tampon on his ear. So what do? They call Tim Walz the tampon guy because he signed a bill that allowed girls to get, women's support products for free, which is hugely important and necessary. If you have any females in your life, you know that. Excuse the construction sounds in the background. And so what do? They come up with their own tampon myth. So that's designed to make you search for tampon and Donald Trump, and instead of finding the story about him, I'm sure, faking that he was hit with a bullet, because I don't think he was even grazed. I don't think he was even hit with a projectile. I don't think he was hit with shrapnel from anything. He was definitely not hit with shrapnel from a teleprompter. So it's all BS. But anyway, they don't want us to talk about that, so that's their distraction technique, and it's just one of many. That's called whataboutism, by the way. What's funny, too, about all these different propaganda techniques is that they generally use the same disinfo, just recycled over and over and over again. So you're never quite sure when it was written or when it was changed. So, for example, most of the time, as everybody knows now, the same story is used, the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, so-called. It's not really from Israel at all, but it was made up whole cloth out of Roman propaganda that was later used and recycled to create the Nazi narrative about Jews in order to support their anti-Semitism. I know a lot of Jews, and that was so hurtful to them during World War II and to the present day, including now with MAGA and all their stupidity. All the bullshit about, Democrats drinking baby blood and, adrenochrome and all that stuff. That's all from the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, adapted directly from the stuff that the Romans were saying about the Christians around the year 0. And that includes tons of myths. They've barely changed, and yet MAGA barely notices. It's the same stories that have been repeated for centuries, thousands of years. All bullshit. In the 80s, when we were going on bulletin board systems on 300 baud modems, on monochrome screens, and watching the letters type themselves on the screen one at a time, they had those stories back then too. But they were just distributed as text files back then. Putin made a wise investment when he decided to invest in hacker farms for the FSB, which is, I think, the successor to the KGB, and because it won him control of America for several years. America got to see firsthand from 2016 to 2020 what it was like when you denied the existence of a deadly disease. I mean, it got about 1 million people killed. And all I can think is that this was designed to show off how powerful Putin was through Trump. I think that was the primary message. And it sure made my life hell. Anybody who's gay or trans will tell you how their quality of life declined under Trump because of all the fucking prejudice. When the NSA uncovered Cozy Bear and Fancy Bear sharing this information with the Republicans in the United States, and through them and other channels on Twitter. Sorry, I have to keep stopping because the wind is going out of control. They figured it out because a lot of the names and the programming functions were written in Cyrillic. You know, Unicode characters survive transmission these days. So they know it was Russians. So when Donald Trump goes up there and he's like, oh, Russia, 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 my mind is always Russia. He's not lying. He is Russia. Russia is Trump. And Trump is a moron. And Russia is run by a moron. The world's most powerful man. He can afford anything he wants. He stole it all. And he's got trillions. Putin likes to brag about it too, but the funny part is that the Republicans still haven't figured out where all their campaign money is coming from, nor the money to hire all the front row Joes, all the actors he pays $50 a piece for on Craigslist to fill out his ever-dwindling Nazi rallies. I just had to block a bunch more of those people too. There's all these fake Hawaiians who are actually Russian bots on Instagram posting, oh, Trump is the kind, he's so cool, yeah, he's gonna do this for the Hawaiians. Bullshit. He doesn't do shit for Hawaiians. But, you know, people don't know, and then they believe the propaganda. They don't know that the person is not Kimo from, you know, Aiea on Oahu that's posting it, but Ivan, you know, from Moscow. It's just so obvious too. I get called out for calling them out, but I just keep reporting them one by one. And yeah, they get knocked out, but then they'll just come back and create 10 more accounts again. Humanity is going to have to go through this maturation period where they realize that, or we realize that information can't just be trusted off the cuff, just like people can't be trusted off the cuff. And in the future, when we finally eliminated money and plastic from the world, and we've become more mature with our information, we might actually have a utopia. Because right now what we have is the living hell of feudalism 2.0, you know, capitalism, the end stages of money, where it all goes to shit.